Developing story here at the Heat Report. We were all devastated by the Donovan Mitchell news earlier today, but we got a new rumor, this one coming from Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald, reporting that the Heat have called on DeMar DeRozan, the top NBA free agent still out there, and there is alleged interest from DeRozan in joining the Miami Heat as well. There are a lot of teams interested in DeRozan's services, including the Los Angeles Lakers. But let's talk about this from a Miami lens because let's just be honest here. This is quite the stunner. And I'll say this, at least that the front office, regardless if they miss on DeRozan or not and he goes elsewhere, and we'll talk about the challenges of even signing him regardless, but at least the team in the front office is showing motivation to try to improve this roster after Donovan Mitchell officially extended with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I've been skeptical of DeRozan's fit with Miami in the past, which makes this a little bit of a stunning idea because he has had a struggle spacing the floor in terms of shooting from three, and we know Bam and Jimmy don't do that exceptionally well at a high enough volume. So I'm curious to see how this fit would be, which we're going to discuss more in depth here. But this is why you subscribe to the channel, because when a rumor drops in free agency, trades, whatever, we will run with it and have you covered. So hit that sub button, because if the Heat do end up making a move to try to acquire DeMar DeRozan, we will have you covered. I'll say this in the potential pursuit of DeMar DeRozan, it is going to be very challenging to get him on the Miami Heat. They simply do not have the cap space or money to sign him in free agency outright unless DeRozan takes a hefty discount. And if they do want to get him, they could require a separate trade, not a sign-in trade, but a separate trade, including one of the top guards, which we'll talk about as well. But let's just talk about DeRozan and what he could bring to the Miami Heat, because he has been one of the best scorers in the NBA. There is no denying that. Ever since he's left Toronto and gone to San Antonio and then in Chicago the last 3 years, he has been absolutely terrific at putting the ball inside the cup. And he's an efficient scorer. There's no denying that either. The issue that I've always had with DeMar DeRozan and his potential fit in Miami is that right column number and that three-point percentage, because your two stars in Bam and Jimmy, well, Bam just started shooting threes for the first time in his career in the last 20 games of the season. Sure, he shot 34%, but that's new. And then Jimmy, who did shoot 42% from three this year, but was super low volume, doesn't take them a lot. Like, I would just be concerned if your top three scorers can't space the floor and work together, because DeRozan wants to work at the elbow and 15 feet. That's where Bam wants to work. Jimmy gets downhill and attacks the cup. Like, would the spacing work? But DeRozan does give you good size, rim pressure. He would be immediately the best player on the roster at getting to the rim and attacking opposing defenses and forcing the defense to at least have to respect rim pressure, because Jimmy and the rest of the crew struggled in that regard this past season. DeRozan is one of the best scorers, and there's also this aspect of DeMar's game that is excellent. He is one of the best fourth-quarter players in the NBA. I think Jimmy's one of the clutchest players. Sure, he misses some of those shots late in games when he goes for the three in situations he doesn't need a three, but DeRozan has been exceptional in clutch moments. Multiple buzzer beaters, one of the best fourth-quarter scorers in the association, so he would help the Heat's fourth-quarter scoring, which we know was a massive struggle for the team last season. So would you want DeMar DeRozan? Let me know and be honest. I know some of you have already asked me about the potential fit of DeRozan in Miami in the past, so I know there's a little bit of intrigue, but I do want to know what you think. Do you want DeMar DeRozan? Type Y for yes or type N for no. Here was the exact report from DeMar DeRozan, or from Barry Jackson on DeRozan, that I wanted to show. Said the Heat have expressed interest in Bulls free agent guard DeRozan, and DeRozan has also shown interest in Miami, according to two sources with knowledge of the situation. The Heat is among several teams in play for the six-time All-Star. But I also wanted to display this, and this came out earlier today from Adrian Wojnarowski reporting on DeMar DeRozan. He could be looking for a one-year deal, because the market for him, at least in terms of what he can make, there are going to be a lot of teams interested in his services, but they can't offer him an $18, $20 million contract on a one-year basis just right now in free agency. So there are rumors and reports from Woj that DeRozan could be looking for a one-year deal and then go back into free agency next year when teams have more cap space, and then he could cash in for a multi-year contract worth $20 million per season and make another big payday. So that is kind of where DeRozan is sitting on the one-year deal. But there are a lot of challenges for Miami to get DeRozan, because this is also coming from Barry Jackson. He says that at the moment, the only way that Miami could add him would be if he accepts the Heat's $5.2 million non-taxpayer mid-level exception, or even less likely, a minimum contract. Those are the Heat's only non-trade avenues to add players. So, as you just saw there from Barry Jackson, a trade would be needed. And many of you say, well, just do sign and trade, where you could sign him to an $18 million deal and trade Duncan Robinson. Well, that's actually not going to be feasible for Miami either, because that would hard cap them at the first apron, which means they cannot be above that first apron at all. And the issue with that is that if you add DeRozan to this $18 million roster on the same contract as Duncan Robinson, which you would use in the sign trade, well, you're actually still over the first apron, so that deal is something that the Heat can't even do. So a separate trade would be needed in potentially moving a Rozier, a Tyler Herro to a different team, because those two guards make $29 and $24 million respectively. And if you trade them to, say, a Brooklyn Nets or a San Antonio Spurs, where they absorb that contract, they send you a super cheap contract or just a pick in return for Tyler Herro or Rozier, and you get to shed that salary, gets you underneath the first apron, which would then allow you to give DeRozan an $18 million deal or $20 million on a one-year basis, well, then that could work. And that's kind of where Barry Jackson's next responding tweet comes into play, and it kind of gave me the idea as well as the one that I just mentioned. But Barry's saying one of the creative outside-the-box ideas that Miami could pursue is trading one of its guards, obviously Herro, Rozier, maybe even Duncan, but I don't even think I think it would have to be more than Duncan Robinson's $19 million contract, to a team with cap space for a first-round pick and a lesser player, earning much less money, thus taking Miami well enough below first apron to execute a DeRozan deal. So then that brings us to the question of, would you do that, right? Are you willing to trade one of Terry Rozier or Tyler Herro to a different team to get a first-round pick and then allow you to sign DeMar DeRozan? I am actually willing to do that. I sent out this tweet in response to that Barry Jackson one. I am willing to trade Tyler Herro to a different team to get a first-round pick for cheap and sign DeMar DeRozan. Why? Because Herro, the tweet things that he liked yesterday, Tyler has kind of giving me bad vibes right now, and I'm kind of cool to get rid of him. Plus, if you were able to trade Tyler Herro and get a first-round pick back, that adds to your draft capital and draft assets that then you can use in the future to help build this team as well. So if you're telling me I could technically swap Herro for DeRozan, but also get a first-round pick, I'm in. And I know DeRozan would only be here for a year in all likelihood, and Herro has 3 years left on his deal, but I don't think he's worth his contract right now when you're seeing players like Klay Thompson making 16, 17 mil a season. And I do think Herro's better than Klay, but is it a $13 million difference? Probably not, right? So if I'm getting a first-round pick back from Herro and I'm able to sign DeRozan for 1 year, but also get a first-round pick, I am absolutely all in. So to me, I am very fascinated to see how this all plays out. If I had to guess if the likelihood or percentage chance that the Heat actually end up getting DeMar DeRozan, it's probably a 10% chance, if I'm going to be honest, because it's just so difficult and it's going to be tough to be able to trade off Herro, sign DeRozan, or just convince him to take a super small contract with Miami. I don't see that happening, so it would have to be the former with the trade and then giving DeRozan 10, 15 mil plus on a one-year deal. But at least the Heat are showing interest in one of the best players in the NBA free agency that could really help the team. He's also really good friends with Jimmy Butler, so this could be a one-year thing to have them two play together, and then both of them get free agency. But at least Pat Riley is showing initiation. That's really all I can ask for. Make sure you are following me on Twitter at Nic_Rohloff, because if you did, you would have saw this news before we came over and made a video. I keep on telling you to follow me because you're going to see everything before we make a video on the channel. So go follow me at Nic_Rohloff, and we'll see you with another update later today maybe or tomorrow. So go Heat.